left center field. And he goes that way again. What row is this one going to land in? Wow. Almost the exact same spot. And Bobby Witt Jr. has his second two-run home run in the last 2 innings.
And the payoff pitch. Book it. The Guardians strike the first blow in this matchup between Cleveland and Kansas City, winning the series opener 8-5.
Royals had a 5-0 lead, but they can't hang on to it yesterday against the Guardians. Royals now 5 games out of first place. Cleveland stretching their lead in the AL Central. They're now 40-20 on the season. Royals fall to 36-26 with the loss. It was a 3-game series. They started last night against Cleveland. In Cleveland, Royals jumped down to a 5-0 lead, scored 3 in the third on a solo homer for Hunter Renfroe, a 2-run shot from Bobby Witt Jr. Then you heard Bobby Witt Jr. with his 2-run homer in the fourth, and the Royals are up 5-0. You have Seth Lugo on the hill, who right now would be the AL Cy Young Award winner if the season ended today. But the Royals couldn't hold it. A big error by Bobby Witt Jr. in the 7th inning helped to lead to 3 unearned runs for Cleveland. Lugo gets a non-decision, and the Royals lose 8-5 as the Guardians scored 8 unanswered after being down 5-0. Matt Couture, manager of the Royals, on the air by Bobby Witt Jr. That kind of opened the floodgates for the Guardians to finish off the comeback.
What I think really happened was Lofton broke for the ball. Bobby clearly went for the ball. So Bobby was probably thinking either go to the bag or flip it. And then when he realized he wasn't going to be able to do either, hurried and rushed, I don't know if he rushed the throw, but made an off-balance throw. And Vinny couldn't come up with a pick. So as far as how frustrating it is, that inning, we talk about it all the time, not giving away bases. So we had a great at-bat from Schneemann that, got on there versus Sammy, but 2 walks to load the bases, and then, the misplay. So certainly not a clean inning for us all the way around. So other than that, it was a clean game. So that is frustrating.
And so the Royals lose 8-5. This is Sports Ticket, brought to you by Kiefer Brothers Automotive and Beloit, your home for fast, friendly auto repair. Back in 30 seconds.
I'm Elijah at Kiefer Brothers Automotive in Beloit. The hot weather is here. Is the air conditioning in your vehicle nice and cold? If not, we can help. We have the training and equipment to service vehicle AC systems of all types, including the new refrigerant and late model vehicles. We offer same-day service on air conditioning with no appointment necessary. So don't sweat it out. Give us a shout. Fast, friendly service for your air conditioner can be found at Kiefer Brothers Automotive, just south of the courthouse in Beloit, or on the web at KieferBrothers.com.
Coleman, deep fly ball, back to the wall, and Jada Coleman hits it out. The opposite field, walk-off home run for the Sooners. And the quest for a four-peat continues.
Number 2, Oklahoma, rallying to win. Walk-off homer in the bottom of the 8th yesterday to beat Florida 6-5. Florida had snapped OU's 20-game tournament winning streak the day before, and Florida was in control yesterday, up 5-2 after 3, but OU scored 2 in the 4th, another in the 6th, tied the game, got the walk-off on the 8th, and now it's all Big 12 championship series, and there's going to be that's going to be a hot ticket there in Oklahoma City when you've got Texas and Oklahoma playing each other for a national championship, and I would assume this will be the last events in regards to baseball, of course, and then also softball. But this will be it for the the Big 12 when it comes to softball for OU and Texas. And oddly enough, 2 best teams in America right now are going to move to the SEC when it comes to women's softball.
Yeah, I guess take advantage of it for the Big 12 right now to pump up this all-conference matchup because it's not happening anymore.
Texas with the win over Stanford 1-0 on Monday. So the game 1 of the series is at 7 o'clock tonight. Texas a little bit more rested than OU. OU and Texas definitely hate each other, so that'll add to the whole mixture of everything else. Of course, K-State baseball team, they'll be in action coming up this weekend in Virginia as they're in the Super Regionals, and there's some Big 12 representation in the Super Regionals, and K-State is one of those teams. We mentioned the Royals earlier tonight. It's Brady Singer on the hill for the boys in blue at 5:40, game 2 of that series. He missed his last start due to illness. He's 4-2, ERA at 2.63, as the Royals tried not to fall further back behind the Guardians in the AL Central. French Open, number 1 seed Novak Djokovic won on Monday, took him 5 sets, but he had a knee injury, and so he is withdrawn from the French Open and opens a door for Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz and others. But Novak was on his way to maybe win another major, but an injury sideswipes that opportunity. And American Coco Gauff won in 3 sets, moved on to the semis in the French Open. So it's a little update for you tennis fans out there. 8-man All-Star games are this week, Dusty, and our feature player today is Ian Kresin.
Yeah, he is obviously one of the top players in the state in 8-man Division II, and proved that, and has been a mainstay with the Lakeside Knights over the last 4 years on their squad. Coming up in Saturday's 39th annual 8-man All-Star games, he will be playing on the Division II East team. In that D2 All-Star game, he was a starter for the majority of his career at Lakeside, definitely on defense, started all 4 years, and Spot started on offense his freshman year, and then after that, from sophomore to senior year, he was in that lineup the whole time and had an outstanding career. Lakeside actually went 22-14 in the 4-year stretch that Kresin played in high school football. They finished 6-3 here this past season, and again, he was very instrumental on both sides of the ball. He registered over 1,000 all-purpose yards each of the last 3 seasons, had just under 1,900 in 2022 all-purpose as a junior, and then just under 1,700 as a senior, as he did most of his damage on the ground. He ran for 1,250 yards, 16 touchdowns junior season, and then last year as a senior, an all-state running back in 8-man Division II, and he compiled 1,448 yards, 32 touchdowns rushing. Most of what they used Kresin for as a senior was running the football. You know, he had more receptions and more return yardage in his junior year, but the ground game was what worked and helped lead Lakeside to that 6-3 record, as we mentioned. On defense, he played very, very well, had 194 total tackles, 23 for loss in his career, 5 interceptions, including one that he returned for a touchdown his sophomore season, and throughout his career, he scored a total of 75 touchdowns. So Kresin, obviously, with all those numbers that you hear there, he's very worthy of being in this position, and he credited the weight room, and you can see the reasons he had success. He was a state powerlifting champion for Lakeside here in the spring, and took home that title at the KMFA Powerlifting Championships at Central Plains High School. And Ian actually told us and talked about the fact that the weight room really played a pretty big part in his career, as he explains here now.
Yeah, at the junior high level, that's when I started my lifting journey, which lifting's played a big part. But as you got to the high school level, it kind of, you could tell people got bigger, faster, and they started to catch up. So you had to find different ways to do that, and I did that by trying to get more speed was a big part in what I needed to get as I went down the road. As long as getting bigger and stronger helped, definitely.
And you could see that stand out in the way he ran the football and the numbers of yards that he had as he grew as a player and got quicker too, like he talked about with getting more speed. And Ian obviously is going to be missed by Lakeside football and basketball and golf as well, as he had key parts of that. But as an 8-man All-Star in football, it's going to look a lot different without Ian Kresin on the team here moving forward. But that's what happens, and that's why he's being represented as an All-Star here this weekend for the Lakeside Knights. You can read more 8manallstars.com, and we'll have features on all of our athletes there that we do on the Sportscast. I'll be live at practice coming up tomorrow and Friday as well, talking with some area athletes on live reports. So be tuning in for that on the Sports Ticket here this week as well. 8-man All-Star games will take place on Saturday at Trojan Field in Beloit. We'll have the 8-man Division I game, pregame at 9:30 and kickoff at 10. And the 8-man Division II game will follow with pregame at 1 o'clock and kickoff at 1:30. So, again, the Division II game is where most of our area athletes will be competing. We mentioned Ian Kresin. We featured Chance Jermark of St. John's Tipton yesterday. Tomorrow's features will be on Osborne athletes Stoke Guttery and Nathan Goheen. And they'll all play in the Division II East team. And then Division II West features Brody Batchman of Sylvan Lucas and Mason Baker from Thunder Ridge as well. So, again, most of our area is in that D2 game in the afternoon. We do have Lincoln's Logan Meyer playing in the game, and Colby Hamel of Lincoln is an assistant coach for the Division I West squad as well. So that's our kind of lone representation in the D1 game coming up on Saturday. So we're looking forward to it. Again, 8manallstars.com is your home for all the coverage that we'll have here this week, and I hope you enjoy it and can get out to the games on Saturday if you can. We'd rather have you there. If you can't, go ahead and listen coming up Saturday.
All right, back to Novak Djokovic for a moment. Number 1 player in the men's world. He has a torn meniscus, so he's going to undergo surgery. So we'll see what happens. WNBA is making news. I have stuff to do today. I really don't know if I need to waste time on this. The WNBA, I actually saw the game where Caitlin Clark got shoved. It was a cheap shot, yes. It was a dirty play, yes. We don't have a problem in the men's game when that happens. We just get over it. I mean, these are not girls. These are women. They're the best of the best in the world. They're playing professional basketball. And was that right for the player to do that to Caitlin Clark? No, but at the same time, Angel Reese was in a headlock in a game, and nobody made a big deal about that. And I hear all these people saying it's bad for the WNBA. That is the biggest bunch of baloney I've ever heard. It's great for the WNBA.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is great for the WNBA. It's great that a player side chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground and people are talking about it. It's great that Angel Reese gets ejected out of a game last night. It's great that she's sitting here going, people aren't just coming to watch Caitlin Clark, they're coming to see me and other people. Which the statistics don't back her up on that one.
No, that's what I talked about yesterday,
yeah.
So people know my feelings on that part of it.
Yeah, Angel Reese thinks she's a little bit more important than she really is, and that's okay. I mean, that's okay. She has a right to her opinion. I mean, she's a very talented player, don't get me wrong, but I more people are coming to see Caitlin Clark play than Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark is more exciting to watch than Angel Reese. That's just how it is. Now, if Angel Reese starts dunking, now we got something. But... You know, what's great about Caitlin Clark, people love it. She's like Steph Curry Jr. She's Steph Curry from a women's perspective. She can shoot it from wherever. She's a really good passer. She can handle the ball. And yeah, there are people going after her. They're trying to, it's rookie initiation. You could call it rookie hazing. Of course, hazing sometimes nowadays they call it bullying. But that's what happens when, I mean, Diana Taurasi said this when they were doing the TV cast or whatever they called it. Her and Sue Bird were talking about this when Caitlin Clark was playing in the Final Four, and they were saying, listen, she's gonna get pushed around. It's gonna be completely different. She's not playing with 18, 19, 20-year-old girls. She's playing with women. And Caitlin Clark knows that. Have you heard Caitlin Clark complaining left and right about everything?
Not.
No. Her coach is standing up for her and the team because it hurts the team that they don't get flagrant fouls called on other teams, or she's being held when and that's allowed for other players. I mean, the coach has a right to stand up for her team and argue and say this is this, and that's no different than the men's game. And Caitlin Clark has not drawn any more attention to herself and felt sorry about herself and how she's being cheated and this and that. It's ultimate respect for her game. And when somebody face guards her 94 feet down the floor, nobody else is defending anybody that way in the men or women's game.
No.
Caitlin Clark's the first. So that's how highly respected Caitlin Clark is already. So she's not just one of those people that is all flash and no substance. We know she's pretty good. She made it to the Final Four back-to-back years at Iowa, for crying out loud. Made it to the championship game back-to-back years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then for Jay Williams to be a moron and say that in order for her to be a great, she has to win it all, well, that means that Barkley, Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Dan Marino, I can go on, we're not great. So Jay Williams is all messed up.
An absolute scrub in the NBA.
He was a complete whitewash, and he was a first-round pick.
If that's your relative terms of success.
Right, exactly. So anyway, this whole hubbub, and this is what Fox News and CNN do, because honestly, both institutions suck. I'm just going to say it, all right? They both suck. They don't provide, all they're doing is providing and shoving down what you want to hear. They are shoving down what fits your narrative and agenda. If you're watching Fox, you're going to agree with almost everything Fox says, even though you may deep down know that they're full of crap. And the same thing if you watch CNN every day, and you're probably sitting here believing everything that CNN tells you, and what you don't know is it's somewhere between CNN and Fox is where the truth lies. Okay? More than likely, if you're far left or far right, you're too far extreme right and you're too far extreme left. And then all of a sudden, I love when the news organizations get involved in sports. Like they tell athletes to be quiet and get in line and talk about what they know about. Well, why does some talking head on CNN and Fox have to start talking about something they don't know anything about? And so then they get all caught up in, Caitlin Clark, and this is bad for the WNBA. And even these people on ESPN and Fox are talking about how it's bad for the WNBA. You guys are idiots. Like, you being shoved, ladies and gentlemen, you need to stop it. If you're watching these shows and you're accepting all the jargon and drivel that they're sending you, you got to start thinking for yourself. Please quit being a lemming. Start thinking for yourself. Think about this. Do you think it's bad for NASCAR when two drivers after the race start throwing punches at each other? Do you think that hurts their ratings?
No.
It definitely doesn't hurt it. If anything, it helps it. Now, maybe it doesn't help at all, but it doesn't hurt it. It doesn't hurt the ratings. Do you? I can hear it now, can't you? Well, that's it. I'm not watching NASCAR, Mom, because they were fighting in the pits. You know how a lot of people, why they watch NASCAR? A lot of people I know watch NASCAR for the
wrecks and fights afterwards,
right.
too, right? Like, that's some of the people I know, that's why they're attracted to it.
The diehard,
when a wreck happens, who's going to fight about it?
Now, there are diehard race fans that want to actually watch racing. I understand you, and good for you. But let's call it what it is, okay? When there is... Now, is it good when players go in the stands like the Malice in the Palace in NBA? No, that's not good. That's not good.
No.
Okay, that doesn't help you at all. But Angel Reese getting injected out of a game, and it's one of the top stories in sports the next morning, is good for the WNBA. Caitlin Clark getting ambushed and drilled to the ground in a dirty foul, which should have been a flagrant, but wasn't. Okay, fine. You upgrade it like they did after the fact. That's not bad for the WNBA. What's bad for the WNBA is it becomes a thug sport where nobody calls anything, and it's just women pulling each other's hair and ripping their earrings out. Okay, now actually some people would watch that too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and Stephen A. Smith was put in his place the other day, and I love it because he is a complete freaking walking hypocrite, as are many of those talking heads on their sports shows, because they have become they say what the network tells them to say. I'm convinced of it, because some of the stuff they say makes absolutely no sense, and these guys aren't stupid to get where they are today. And you sit here and you all of a sudden you talk about how much you've supported the WNBA, and you've talked about it, and Monica McNutt called him out on it, and good for her. One of the few people that would, Kendrick Perkins recently called out even ESPN, who is his employer, about why are we shoving this Bronny James thing down our throat? He's not that good, okay? It just happens to be LeBron's son. We're spending a whole bunch of time talking about a second-round talent in a weak draft to start with. And maybe some team will be crazy enough to draft him in the first round just so they think they can get his dad to play for another year at the age of 40, okay? To whatever. But it's mindless, endless drivel that these talking heads do for the most part. Like yesterday, it came across the screen, or was it yesterday or the other day? No, it was yesterday, because we were out at Hayes for a college orientation. We were sitting at a restaurant, and they have ESPN on, of course. And so I see the headline, and this is on their whatever show before noon. I don't even know what it is on ESPN. I think they're replaying. It might have been a replay of the Get Up show with Mike Greenberg. And Novak Djokovic had just withdrawn. Like, he had withdrawn, #1 player in the world in tennis, the greatest player that maybe ever played in tennis. That's pretty big. I mean, they do cover sports, right? But they don't know anything about tennis, so they'll avoid it. They don't know a lot about the WNBA, but now they think they're experts. But what they're talking, and what was the whole graphic was, should Russell Wilson be the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers? They've just started OTAs. That's like you and me talking right now whether or not Shane Buechele should be the backup quarterback for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
What the hell? Can we just let them practice and play a preseason game? And these guys are talking about Justin Fields should start before Russell Wilson. First of all, you have no idea what they do in OTAs.
No, nobody's done
you have no
anything.
idea how quick they pick up the playbook. They're both joining a different team. And secondly, you don't have something better to talk about on June the 4th? Because there are things. There are things. You could talk more WNBA. Great. You could talk, I don't know, the NBA Finals. You could talk about that. You could talk about the College World Series that's soon to happen, and talk about Super Regional College Baseball, which they don't spend any time on.
No.
You could talk about the Women's College World Series, that a school is going for a 4-peat for crying out loud. That isn't very normal. And instead, they want to talk about the WNBA. It's bad what's happening, and they need to clean it up. And Russell Wilson shouldn't be a week 1 starter for the Steelers. Dude, people, don't waste your time.
Who cares
Just
about that right now?
Save a lot of time. We all have only so much time to live on this earth. Let me give you some advice and save some time. Stop watching crap like that. Just stop it. Because unless you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, why do you care if Russell Wilson is a week 1 starter? See, this is the thing. ESPN is all about shock value. That's all that entertainment has become. That's all Fox News is now. That's all CNN is. All these networks are becoming all about grabbing a headline and shoving it down your throat, getting your attention. They know, because this is what society is doing, that society starts to read a headline, maybe they finish the headline, and that's all the attention span they got. They can't even focus long enough to read something for 15 seconds. You read a headline and you jump to conclusions. That's what society has become. Not everybody. If you're not like that, God bless you.
Yeah.
But that's, and guess what? The TV networks know this. They know that you eat this crap up. So shame on you. You sit here and you and I can scream at ESPN and Fox and CNN and Fox News and Fox Sports, and we can cry until, the cows come home about how horrible their programming is and what they're doing. And that's all true and accurate, in my opinion. But they're giving you what you are saying you want to watch. You keep watching it, you give them ratings, they will keep shoving the mindless drivel down your throats because you keep drinking and licking it up. So getting back to the drivel, when people are sitting here saying that the WNBA, this is not good for the WNBA. No, it's not good if Caitlin Clark has a season-ending injury. Agreed. But the fact that you have some player cross-checking Caitlin Clark in a game after Angel Reese was almost strangled, and nobody seems to have a big problem with that with Angel Reese about a week ago, and there was this not a major thing across the talking heads about it. But if it was Caitlin Clark that did that to Angel Reese, it would be the frickin'.
Yeah.
And what is that? What do we got here? Caitlin Clark is white. Angel Reese is black. And Bob Costas said it, and yes, I know he's on various networks too, but I thought he was right. He was like, listen, the reason you didn't hear much about the whole thing with Angel Reese was it was a black player doing that to a black player. If that was a white player doing that to Caitlin Clark, this wouldn't be as big a story. It'd probably still be a story, but it wouldn't be as big a story. I think there's truth to that. I'm not going to agree with that part as much as the first part. I think if it's a star white player that does that to Angel Reese, then I think it's a bigger story. Now, if it is a black player that does what they did to Angel Reese, but it happened to be Caitlin Clark, oh dear God! And I think that's the point Bob Costas is making. If that's Caitlin Clark instead of Angel Reese last week, who gets it was bad. Yeah. And that happens to Caitlin Clark. We're talking about this constantly. How do I know? Because their simple cross-check that knocked her to the ground is causing this controversy. And it's great for the WNBA for the attention that it brings. People now go, oh, they play a little bit dirty in the WNBA. I like that. And you might get more people to watch the WNBA because the WNBA, their ratings are going up. The WNBA, because of Caitlin Clark, attendance is up. There are other talented players, but she's the one that drives the needle. So Angel Reese, while I support her and understand her being upset about being ejected last night, and then other players got ejected from my understanding, or there was some kind of scuffle, and that's not a horrible thing for the WNBA, in my opinion. And people today, including myself, are talking about Angel Reese and WNBA and getting ejected, or we're talking about Caitlin Clark getting cross-checked by a player who happened to be black. That's actually good for the WNBA. Okay? And you better capitalize on it while you have the popularity that you do. But what I disagree with Angel Reese is people are coming to watch her play, and that's not true. It's true. There are some people that are coming to watch Angel Reese play, but when you look at the numbers, it is dear Lord. You're talking about a 10,000 attendance difference between about 5 to 10,000, depending on how you look at it. You're looking at Caitlin Clark getting 10 to 15 to 17,000 people sold out to watch her play a game. And then when Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky play, and other teams that don't play the Indiana Fever, who are a horrible team right now, they are 2-9 or something like that, but yet everybody's watching them because of Caitlin Clark, who only had 3 points the other night, and she had 11 points the game before that, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, whatever. People still are watching Caitlin Clark. Every game, they have the numbers out there. The games that Caitlin Clark has not been in, the average attendance is half of what it is with Caitlin Clark playing.
It's
so Angel Reese,
16,000 with Caitlin Clark.
Right. So Angel Reese can sit here and shove that down your throat about how, well, people aren't coming out just to see Caitlin Clark. Technically, you're right, because there are people going to other games when Caitlin Clark isn't playing. But in regards to what's moving the needle and what has the most attended games this year, it's because they want to see Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. Sorry, Angel, but that's the way it is. You can deny it all you want. The proof is in the pudding. Now, that doesn't mean she's not a great player. It doesn't mean she can't be a star. And doesn't mean that she can't be getting tons of endorsements. Doesn't mean she can't be the face of the league at some point. But right now, the face of WNBA, and it was before she even stepped foot on the floor, is Caitlin Clark. She is the face of the WNBA. Whether that creates a whole bunch of jealousy from the veterans, so be it. But those veterans owe her a little bit, because now, guess what? More people watch, ratings go up. What happens? More sponsorships are sold by ESPN and other networks that carry the WNBA. And your local people sell merchandise. Indiana Fever sell out all their games. Road games for Caitlin Clark are selling out. Merchandise going left and right. Guess what that helps? The players. All those veterans who might despise Caitlin Clark or simply jealous of Caitlin Clark because they never had the it factor that Caitlin Clark has. They can be jealous all they want, but they should bend down on one knee and kiss her feet and say, thank you. Because without Caitlin Clark, the ratings aren't where they are today. You don't even talk about anything WNBA on First Take and all these other freaking shows that they have every morning that just regurgitate the same thing over and over, show by show, all throughout the day. And then you sit here and pump your chest and talk about how you always were talking about the WNBA and supporting WNBA when you're full of crap and somebody calls you out on national television. And you're speechless. You know why you're speechless? Because you didn't expect anybody had the kahunas to call you out. Because that's rarely done on national TV anymore. And usually people call somebody out, get fired. And I'm kudos to Monica McNutt for calling him out because he is a hypocrite. And congratulations to Kendrick Perkins for calling out his own network because he's right. Sometimes the truth hurts. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth. People want to sit in their little comfy world. They live in a bubble, but they don't want to hear the truth, which I guess actually makes sense because that makes sense now why you watch this drivel on CNN and Fox and all this other stuff. Because you don't want the truth. You just want to be entertained. Let's be honest. You don't want the truth. You don't care about the facts. If you cared about the facts, I mean, this world would be a little bit different. You know, we convict people before they even went to a court of law. We already convict people. I mean, it happens in the littlest possible things. I've dealt with it in my family of various little things tied to either whether it's myself, whether it's my own children, where people jump to conclusions, don't know what the bleep they're talking about. But boy, they think they're an expert because one person told them something. And what's funny is that person didn't hear it correctly, or that person jumped to conclusions and didn't get the full story. And when you read a headline and you don't read the story, you're not getting all the information. And sometimes you can read the whole story and you're still getting a slanted side of things. Okay, so I've said this before and I'll say it one last time before I get the hell out of this job and go somewhere else here at the end of June or wherever it's going to be. And that is, I will tell you, start doing your work. All right, just because you're out of school doesn't mean you can't do homework. It doesn't mean you can't research anything. Do your work. Don't sit here and just watch one TV channel every day. And once again, I don't care. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, they're all the same from this perspective. They're driving an agenda that they already know you agree with.
Absolutely.
So they're just pounding it in your head to make you even more of a staunch supporter, to make it to where you're even further left than you already are, further right than you already are. Those networks are designed to basically divide our country. Is that the original goal of those networks? No, I believe it was not. But I think that's where we are. And so I'll take my shots at all those networks. And the thing is, once again, we can blame them. We can blame the media entities for this. We can blame that. But at the end of the day, those networks are a microcosm of society that we have. And so, you know, if you are tired of this or you're tired of that, you have to do something different. And if you don't want to be a follower and you want to be a leader, then maybe you can actually flip between all those networks and maybe see exactly what I'm talking about instead of just going, oh, you're so off base. I know that. I watch that guy every day and he always shoots me straight. Have you ever met the guy? Do you know what he's like in real life off the camera? Do you know if he's just reading talking points like a lemming, or is he actually speaking his own mind? How do we know? We don't, because it's all entertainment. And news was not supposed to be entertainment. All this news stuff was not supposed to be entertainment. It's become entertainment.
It's oversaturated, and they're trying to figure out what they should do because of it, right? Like we can only cover so much news on each station, right?
Right. So we're going to go for whatever
can only do the same thing that they're doing for so long.
Okay. So whether it's writing something to get somebody to click on it, clickbait, or you simply are talking on TV, it's talkbait, I guess you could call it, whatever you want to call it. That is what, it's just bait, period. It's bait. And here's the thing, a lot of us are silly fish in the lake that immediately jump on the first time you see it dangle in the water, and you might even see the boat and you know you're going to get reeled in, but you're still just like, mesmerized because you somehow believe that they wouldn't hook you and cut you up and put you in a store. They'll throw you back. And it's entertainment. And we need to understand that. Everybody needs to understand this. It is all about entertainment. It's not about covering as much sports as we can. It's not about being completely truthful or fair and balanced or whatever the monikers are for all these networks. That's not what it is. If you believe that, If you believe all those things, then I've got some oceanfront property to sell you right outside of Beloit, Kansas. I mean, it is beautiful. The Atlantic Ocean is out in my backyard, okay? Don't be so damn gullible, all right? Be willing to push yourself individually to learn more, but get various sources. Now, not everything you read and everything you watch is truthful. And you may go to various sources and go, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if this is true. But question, you really should probably question everything that you read, or question everything you watch, even if it's your trusted network or channel or person. You should at least question it. That doesn't mean you're wrong or right to question it. It just means maybe, you know what, that doesn't seem right. Instead of, he's got to be right. I don't have time to look it up. He must be right. That's what people do.
Exactly.
They claim they don't have time, right? Well, you have time to sit down and watch an hour-long show, but you have no time to look up anything. Are you kidding me? All the time people waste on their phones looking at it as soon as there's a notification. You know how many times I see at a restaurant something ding and people immediately have become absolutely like zombies? They immediately grab their phone. They'll be in the middle of a conversation with somebody. They immediately, oh my God! It's a notification. Oh, guess what? The Canucks scored a goal. There's a notification. Hey, a stock went up 2%. Or you get a notification that Candy Crush has been installed on your phone. But you got to know right away. It's a notification. So you just got to drop the friend you're talking to, right? And just dump it. Just dump it because you know that damn phone's way more important. And then you grab the phone, but you don't take the time to read anything more. You just read a headline. And then you're an expert on it. Immediately, as soon as you read the headline, and especially if it comes from a source that you trust, you immediately regurgitate all their talking points, right? Because that's what we do. We do it in politics. We do it in news. We do it in sports. And this is what's happening here. You have somebody talking about Caitlin Clark and this, and next thing you know, you have one person saying we need to clean this up, and then a whole bunch of other people and people that like are on football broadcasts like Louis Riddick suddenly chime in and say, well, this has got to be cleaned up before it gets too far out of hand. What about the NBA? What about any other sport? What about baseball? We got. Why in the hell are you allowing people to run from the bullpens all the way down the line to take cheap shots? Why? Where's oh my God, Caitlin Clark got shoved to the ground. This cannot stand. We've got to change it. The league's got to clean this crap up. I don't know. There's hockey fights all the time. What, if we have women's hockey and there's fights all the time, do we have to clean that up? I'll bet you the ratings go up and people attend more hockey matches that women play in if there's more hockey fights, and then watch them smile with 3 teeth missing. Because we do like, let's be honest, Americans they like their violence. They like that cross-checking whatever. And so then these people sit here, are out of touch with society, jumping on their pulpits and their platforms and sitting here and saying, this needs to be cleaned up. Well, what do you think this is? You think WNBA is church service? Well, no, this is not church. Okay? The WNBA is a professional sports league with the best players in the world. They happen to be women. They have a right to compete. They have a right to get chippy. They have a right to throw an elbow. They have a right to cross-check somebody. They even have a right to, if they feel they've been, something bad happened to them, they have a right to throw down. On the floor, not into the stands. That's part of sports. So just because they're women, let's not completely treat them differently, right? That's what women have said all along. We don't want to be treated differently. And I don't think Caitlin Clark and the women in the WNBA want to be treated this way. I think they simply want to be like, we want you to watch, and don't sit here and try to tell us we got to clean it up because some white girl hit the ground. There's a whole bunch of other people with different colors get hit in the ground and cheap shots, and you don't talk about that. And it is hypocrisy 101 at its finest. Now, I'm not saying what happened to Caitlin Clark was right. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that should happen. At the same time, I'm not sitting here saying let's overreact and freak out on every single network about, and even you got Fox News and CNN News commenting on a Caitlin Clark, a women's basketball player getting knocked to the floor. That's it. There was no punch. There's no kicking the nads. There was no grabbing of the you-know-what. It was just she got cross-checked in the wide open. And it's this huge controversy. And then these people that should be talking about what's happening in Ukraine and homelessness in the world and how we can solve poverty and how there's possible nuclear weapons and what's happening with every other country in the world, they sit here and take time out to talk about the WNBA. Leave that to ESPN and Fox to do, even though they don't do a good job. Leave that to them, because you tell the athletes, those networks tell the athletes, just stay in your lane. Well, why don't you stay in your lane? Focus on your news. We got sports over here. You focus on your news entertainment. Let the sports networks focus on sports entertainment. And I'll tell you, all of it's not very good anymore. Okay, my opinion. But at least you could separate a little bit. But now you're going to say, like, what's next? If we start getting ESPN to start talking about whether we should send aid to Ukraine, people immediately say, why are you talking about this? This is sports. Well, if you're watching news, why are you sitting here watching Fox and CNN and going, why are they talking about Caitlin Clark? And you just immediately go, oh, well, that poor girl. That needs to be cleaned up. That's just outrageous. It happens in professional sports every freaking day. Okay? You don't think there's the KC current women's soccer team? You don't think there's a cheap shot in soccer? Happens every freaking game, men's or women's sports. But we're going to freak out because, honestly, that's all it is. It's shock value. It is shock value. It's all about getting you psyched up and all mad, and then next thing you know, you want to bring the race card into it, which I think there's an element of it, but not as far as some people
it's not
say.
What people think, but there's definitely part of it. I mean, it has to be.
I mean, that's how the media
the way it
is,
is, right?
Yeah, there's more attractiveness because they know people in this country are divided. It's a more attractive story for the media to shove down your throat, get ratings, because they're all about getting ratings and shock value. They know it's more attractive of a story to talk about Caitlin Clark getting, sideswiped on an inbounds pass in the backcourt by a player than to focus on Angel Reese and what happened to her last week. They know that you're not going to click on that as much. They know you're not going to watch that as long as you're going to watch this. And they know that Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA.
It's Caitlin Clark, no matter what color her skin
I agree with that.
I
agree.
She is the it moment right now. That's if it's Kelsey Plum that did that to her, if it's Kate Martin, obviously that'd be interesting because they were college teammates. But I'm talking about, like you talk about another white person doing it.
It'll still be a story. It probably wouldn't be as big a story, but it would be a story. I agree with you. I think, and that's where I'm glad you said that, because I think this is a combination of two things. I think it's a combination of, if Caitlin Clark's involved, it's a bigger story, which is obvious. And second, I think there is the element of what Bob Costas said, is that, hey, that was a black player doing that to a black player. Nobody seems to worry too much about it. If it's a white player doing a white player, you typically don't care about it. But if you put Caitlin Clark in the equation and either one of those things I just told you, then it's a gigantic deal. Right?
Yeah.
And, it's no different than the NBA. We're sitting here and it's no different than the NBA. I mean, listen, if something horrible happens to, Michael Porter in a Denver Nuggets game against the Lakers, nobody says anything. If a horrible thing happens in a Nuggets-Lakers game to LeBron James, oh, dear God, it's top story. And we talk about this over and over. That's just the way our society works. Now, does that mean it needs to stay that way? Is there any way we can change it? I have no idea. I think the genie's out of the bottle and has been for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I personally am getting sick of it. And that's why I see these clips come on Twitter. If I wasn't on Twitter, I wouldn't even know about some of this stuff. Thank God I don't watch these shows on a regular basis because I would become a complete and utter zombie. I just like, my tongue hanging out and drooling. Come on, people. We're better than this. We should demand better programming. But once again, we're the ones that somehow crave it, watch it.
You keep watching those clips on Twitter. That's how Pat McAfee built the show, was putting stuff on Twitter at first, and then YouTube, and then it blew up, and now he's really blown up. Yeah. And so that's how all that started.
Yes.
Can I piggyback on just a couple things that you were talking about? First, I want to talk about, because I think with Kennedy Carter and people like that, and Angel Reese, when she says what she says, I think that there's obviously some jealousy there. They want some coverage.
By the way, if people don't know, Kennedy Carter is the girl that shoved Caitlin Clark. Took a cheap shot.
And I tried not to say her name again on that. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, those people, there's jealousy there. There's no question, right? And you're seeing that across the WNBA right now, is that they don't want Caitlin to get all the coverage, right? They want to be recognized. So I got a little experiment for you.
Okay, sure.
Do you know who the best team is in the WNBA right now?
Well, it's the Aces last year, so I would guess it'd be the Aces, but I don't know for sure. They won 5 in a row recently.
They're actually 4-2 right now. Okay. The Aces are.
They said the other day they won 5 in a row.
Maybe they're counting a preseason game.
Maybe
I don't know. But anyway,
their 5-game winning streak snapped, so maybe they had a winning streak at the end of the year. I don't know what they did.
I just want to give an example.
Maybe that's a bunch of crap, too, that I saw on a graphic.
I just want to give an example of the people that should actually be upset that they're not getting coverage right now, because this story's not around.
The best team in the
WNBA. The Connecticut Sun won again last night.
Okay.
They're 9-0.
Wow.
Nobody's talking about that team. I didn't know who people are talking about? Caitlin Clark, because she's Caitlin Clark. They're talking about the Indiana Fever.
And they're 2-8 or something.
They're 2-9. Yeah. They're talking about Cameron Brink, because she was a second pick, right? People want to talk about her a little bit, not as much as Caitlin Clark, obviously, not as much as Angel Reese, to be completely honest with you. But the LA Sparks are 2-6. The Chicago Sky are 3-6, and they're talking about Angel Reese and Camilo Cardoso. Those are the people that were drafted in this year's draft, and those are the people that everybody in the media wants you to think are causing all this big blow up of coverage in the WNBA. And I am sitting here back, and I mentioned this yesterday, but I wanted to quiz you to see if you even knew that the Connecticut Sun were 8-0 going into yesterday, and now they're 9-0.
Had no idea.
Nobody's talking about a team that started the season 9-0.
Right.
And they should be getting a little bit of love and flowers, right? Like,
Probably
if we're
so.
talking about a league that's blowing up in popularity, maybe you should talk about the team that's undefeated at 9-0.
Good point.
That's just not the way it's going, and that's an example of what we're talking about here. That's not the talking point anybody cares about. Nobody cares, from the perspective of what you're listening to on these shows that you're talking about. The Connecticut Sun, nobody cares about that. They don't have a bona fide, so here, think about all the time superstar. The Aces have the best player in the WNBA in the last 3 years, and was one of the best ever college players to do it, and had also on the same team have the person that led the NCAA Division I scoring before Caitlin Clark took the lead. Asia Wilson and Kelsey Plum are two of the most popular college basketball players, and two of the best to ever do it. And they're on the Aces, who've won 2 straight championships. Nobody's talking about them. Those are the teams that I feel have the actual beef. Can y'all talk about us?
Yeah.
Where you at? And so that's the first point I wanted to get.
Well, I want to say that it's not much different than the NBA, though.
Absolutely,
because the NBA in the middle of the season,
the Lakers.
Thank you. In the middle of the NBA, in the middle of the NBA season, instead of talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had the best record in the West, and even the Boston Celtics to an extent, even though they're East Coast, having the best record in the East. You know what they kept talking about? Will LeBron and Lakers get into the play-in tournament?
Yeah. Not the playoffs.
Not the playoffs. The play-in tournament. Or is LeBron going to come back next year? So that's really no different. And so you ignore. And the only if the Lakers start 9-0, you'll be blowing up all over the place.
Yeah.
But when it's somebody in the Midwest or it's a team, the Spurs, who cares? There's no gigantic. LeBron don't play on that team, or this other star doesn't play on this team. And so the WNBA is no different than the NBA, and this is why the WNBA is actually going in the right direction, because you've talked about it 1,000 times on the show. I've talked about it as well. You've talked about your friends, and this is true of you and me as well, for the most part. When Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls and retired, am I a diehard Bulls fan today? No. Why am I a big Bulls fan at the time? Because of Jordan. Were you a big Laker fan or a Kobe Bryant fan? Are you a big Miami Heat Cleveland Cavalier Laker fan, or are you a LeBron fan? Are you a Carmelo Anthony fan, or are you a New York Knicks and Denver Nuggets fan? The point is that you are wearing the jersey of the player you like, and you basically go with the player. So wherever the player goes, that you tend to be a big fan of that team. At least that's how the NBA is, okay? It's been that way for quite some time. The WNBA now has some name recognition, and they have a little bit of star power. And so the same things happen in WNBA. We're following the players. We're not caring about the team results. We're following the players. And so in a way, LeBron and Caitlin are very similar. Caitlin is the face of the WNBA. Everybody in the world knows who she is now. And so you're going to start your lead story about, if you want to have a recap of the WNBA, are you going to lead off with the Connecticut Sun winning their 9th in a row? Or are you going to lead off with Caitlin Clark scored 3 points and the Indiana Fever lost by 36? You're going to start with Caitlin Clark and the Fever losing by 36. And somewhere, hopefully on the rundown, you'll get to the Sun, the Connecticut Sun, winning their 9th in a row. The same thing happens in the NBA. You're sitting here going, well, what do we want to talk about here? Well, the Milwaukee Bucks are off to a 12-1 start, best in franchise history, and the best start in 23 years in the NBA. That's great and all, but LeBron last night, he turned his ankle, and the Lakers lost by 2, and they're off to a 2-8 start. So what are we going to start with? Let's start with the Lakers because more people care. I'm going to watch that. That's all I care. That's all they care about. All they want is ratings. It's all about, once again, what is it? Money. At the end of the day, it's all about money. They're not doing what they used to do. ESPN used to have a whole bunch of highlights, and you knew what was actually going on in the world. The fact that I don't even know the Connecticut Sun are 9-0, and I'm a sports fan, but I'm not a big WNBA fan, but I know more than some people. And it is good that we're paying attention and talking about the WNBA for their league's sake. But yeah, you're absolutely 1,000% correct, is that they focus on not who's the great team or teams doing some amazing things, unless it's on their coast. If it's the East Coast,
what's wild
if the Celtics start 9-0, they're talking about it all the time.
What's wild to me is is I talked a little bit about this with UConn men's basketball because I don't think they really, even as
Danny Hurley talked about
it, get the type of coverage that
he said
deserve.
They didn't get as much coverage as the Blue Bloods like Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and he's probably right, which is weird because that's in the backyard of ESPN.
Connecticut's a small state. Can you not cover UConn? And the team in your state in Bristol, Connecticut, that is 9-0 to start the season in the WNBA. It's like y'all should be covering that. You're located in the exact same state that these teams are in.
It's not flyover. Small state. It's not flyover country where usually your excuse is we don't know what happens in Kansas.
It's like how do you not? It's on the East Coast. How do you not talk about the teams in your state?
Because you don't.
Nobody cares.
Because you don't think it moves the needle.
Cares.
They don't think it moves the needle.
And
that's why.
Connecticut is a small state, and Connecticut has small markets, too.
Why does Fox News and CNN start talking about Caitlin Clark and what happened to her the other day? Because they probably know that people are getting a little tired about all the same crap they talk about over and over and over, so they just want to throw a curveball just to see what happened.
Yeah. The other thing I want to piggyback real quick is what you're talking about with the headline, right? So the clickbait or whatever, or just reading a headline and not reading a story that goes with the headline. And I have to throw this out because of personal experience with this, because I've had a lot of stories here this spring about coaching changes, right? Mm-hmm. And so Darren Grauerholtz and Devon Branch, both at Thunder Ridge, decided to resign on the same day, right? And, a lot of people don't probably realize that Devon is Darren's son-in-law. And so there's one part of the story that you probably have to read to get the whole, but at least 2 or 3 people. Well, what's going on at Thunder Ridge? Obviously their tone is what's wrong at Thunder Ridge. Sure. Why are 2 people resigning on the same day? But why are both basketball coaches resigning on the same day? And so, the people that sent that, I was like, you just saw my headline, right? That said Thunder Ridge basketball coaches resign. Okay, I'm not going to I can't put a whole story in a headline. Right. So did you read the story? Did you look or listen to the 3, 4, 5 minute interviews I had with both of them?
Nope.
No, you're just like something's wrong at Thunder Ridge because both their coaches resigned on the same day in basketball.
Then you tell everybody that.
Yeah, and if you read my story, it'll tell you. But if you don't have the time, they both want to be a family, and they are family to each other, and it's pretty clear, just reading real quick, why they made the decision that they made. It's like I can't help you do everything here. Right. You got to read the story. You don't just look at a headline and some of these headlines obviously in the national news are built for you to think a certain way and to talk a certain way and to put it out there a certain way or to form your narrative just based on a headline. They're doing that on purpose on some of these national stories. Yeah. But on my stories, that's not what I'm doing, man. No. Just read the story, man. If I post something about something local, I'm not trying to stir up some kind of controversy or make you form some kind of opinion. Read my story. Yeah. And sometimes the exact answers are going to be in that story. Sometimes it'll be like this person didn't want to comment, so I'm not going to have the official exact answer all the time. But when people actually come out and say, hey, I want to watch my grandkids play, or you get Devon, hey, I'm commuting from Hayes and my kid's about to be in junior high and I want to see him play, right? And I want to go to his games and stuff, and I want to be coaching in the middle of it. Just read the story. Yeah. And so as you're talking about that was the first thing that came to my mind. It's like, well, what's going on at Thunder Ridge? Well, Thunder Ridge would like them both to stick around, I promise. But this was their decision for their family right now. And if you read my story, you'd know that. So you read this story on the national thing, maybe they're going to tend to send you some different direction, but at least you'll know a little bit more about it. Yeah.
And just to add a little tiny thing to make it a little local tie into what you're kind of saying. Okay. Not to that level, what you're saying, but I put a post on Facebook, basically letting everybody know that I'll be done, and and I didn't even tell them where I'm going. Didn't tell them about the job. Mm-hmm. I tell them I'm talking about the world on Facebook. I don't like to post very much on Facebook, but I'd already talked to a lot of friends of mine and some clients of mine, and so then I thought, it was, I don't know, there's never the right time to do anything, but I was like, I think I can do this here at the end of May, about 30 days away from being done and moving on to the next chapter in my life. And it was a longer post. I get that, but nowhere in the post did I say that day was my last day here. Nowhere in the post do I say that. Nowhere in the post do I say where I'm going or where I'm going to live or what company I'm working for. And I had lots of amazing comments and really nice things said by people on Facebook. I greatly appreciate that. And then I was out and about a little bit the very next day, and I had a couple people said they were shocked I was still working because they were told that yesterday was my last day. Yeah. Well, you didn't read. No. People apparently aren't capable of reading. I thought we were more of an educated society. It's just people don't care about facts anymore. People don't care about the truth anymore. People don't want to take the time to try to learn anymore. They claim they're too busy, but yet they spend hours upon hours on their phone, going through buy, sell, and trade, or, playing games on their apps on their phone, but claim they don't have any time to actually read a story. And by the way, if you are literate enough to read a headline, you should be literate enough to read a story. And so, that's it. And that's why we get misinformation out there. And then we get people sitting there going, I'll trust anything. Well, you kind of help create this yourself.
When you're saying those things, too, and you're saying that even if it's just a local thing, like somebody that says that to me in text, what's going on at Thunder Ridge?
Yeah.
They're probably going to go out and say that to somebody in the community, too. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? Oh, Dusty posted a story. I didn't read it yet, probably, is what they'll say. But man, both coaches resigned. And it's like, well, maybe you should read the story.
I had a thing recently, you're well aware of it, that we talked about on the show about something. And this person sends me this long ass text, and talking about how disappointed they are and blah, blah, blah. And I can totally tell they didn't hear the show.
Yeah.
I totally know they didn't listen to the segment. You know how I know? Because it doesn't even add up.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're going to sit here and take time to send me 1,000-word text about how you are so disappointed, or you can't believe that I said this, when you don't even know what the bleep I did actually say.
Yeah.
You're going off of what somebody else told you. It was completely taken out of context. And then I fire back a response and back up what I say and said, hey, if you take it that way, that's on you. Sorry. Okay. But if you really want to know what the hell I said, here is the link to the podcast with the actual stuff we talked about. And you know what? Funny thing is, that person didn't respond. Shocking.
Yeah.
Because they still probably didn't take the damn time to listen to what we said.
Yeah.
Because they already decided that was wrong. Even though they don't even know what they're talking about. It's just like the guy approaching me all mad during a Beloit Ellsworth game. He wasn't even watching the stream. He's getting texted by some lady or somebody in Timbuktu because she's a big Ellsworth fan, pissed at her team's losing to Beloit again, okay? And they're really great teams. There's great kids on both teams, and somehow makes it all about how it's so slanted and this is disrespectful, and then sends her lackey to go down to me and yell at me during a game, during an actual broadcast, and that guy doesn't even know what happened because he wasn't watching the stream, and gets kicked out of the gym, and he deserved it. It's like, dude, maybe see it for yourself before you go react. Yeah. And this is just how people are. They get stuck on something, and they just flat out are like, well, that is blasphemy. Oh, really? But half the crap you regurgitate's blasphemy. But, lucky for you, people don't call you out on it.
Yeah.
By the way, it's so funny we're talking about this. First thing that pops up on my Twitter feed, ESPN stopped being about quality programming when they canceled the sports reporters. There's some truth to that. Sports writers actually would do some research, do some homework, do some investigative reporting. They would actually talk out some things. They weren't screaming at each other left and right. But that's the first thing that happened to pop up on my. See, I'm being watched, stalked, and I got there's bugs in the place. But right here it says ESPN stopped caring about quality programming when this went off the air. That was a long time ago when the sports reporters went off the air, and I would agree. But in fairness to ESPN, they're not the only network that does this.
No.
And once again, media is a society. Media is a reflection of your own society. I had somebody tell me that a long, long time ago. I think it's a wise slogan or saying.
For sure.
The media is a reflection of you in society. It might not be exactly you, but it is a reflection of the world you live in or the country you live in. Okay? I can tell you that, I can tell you, I don't know for sure, but from what I've heard from a few other people is that what we have media-wise in this country is not exactly the same in every other country, believe it or not. So perhaps some countries have way better, coverage, not worried about ratings, but getting more to the truth. I don't know because I don't live in other countries.
That would go into that, right? Yeah.
Right. But I just want to challenge people. Listen, if you think you hear something that doesn't add up, instead of just assuming it's truth, actually look it up and find out. And you know what you'll finally find? Oh, my. That guy's full of crap, man. Like the line from Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, I thought the Rocky Mountains were rockier than that. Yeah, that John Denver's full of bleep, man. And that kind of would apply to a lot of people on TV nowadays.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.